those of you who don't know me, I taught history at Santa Fe for about 100 years. So this is really joyous for me.
She taught me in year one of that 100 years. So.
No, it wasn't quite year one. It was like year 3, I think. But in any event, when the mayor ran this by me, I thought, how should we do this? Should we like go chronologically and talk about the history of the city? Or should we try to do History Month themes, things like that? But for a variety of reasons, today I want to remind the commission of something, which is history is happening all the time. So keep your eyes open. And history can be about events. But one of the courses I taught at Santa Fe was environmental history, and that's about history of place. So today, what I want to do is to ask all of you to come out of here and think about the history of the place where you reside, okay? The place where your home is. And in the old days, when you bought a house, they gave you a physical abstract that gave you the entire history of what had happened to your piece of land. I understand they don't routinely give those out anymore. But that is the place to start with the history of the place you reside. So that's one thing I wanted to do. And then today, what I wanted to do was to tell you the history of the place where I reside and to remind you that there are historic neighborhoods all over this city that are not in the southeast and are not the Duck Pond. And I reside in the Pine Haven subdivision, which was the original part of the Stephen Foster neighborhood. The lots were sold in that subdivision, and 6th Street at the time was only paved as far as 23rd Avenue. So when Pine Haven was broken out, it was literally a pine forest adjacent to a wood treatment plant, which you will hear about at a later date. The original part of the subdivision was broken out. The lots were sold in the late 30s and early 40s. And the oldest house in the neighborhood was built by my neighbors across the street. Some of you who are close to my age in this room might remember Marie Jones, who dispensed chicken salad sandwiches at the downtown Wise's Pharmacy. That is another piece of Gainesville history. And the Joneses were the first people in our neighborhood. They built their house, and it is across the street from me. Vivian last week gave you a lead-in. If you wander around Gainesville and think historically, okay, I bought a house. I came here in 1980, and I bought this house where I've been living ever since. And after I'd been there about a year, Marie Jones's husband said to me, you know, the day your house came, X, Y, and Z happened. I said, really? The day my house came? Okay. So I live in a Camp Blanding house, okay? And no one had told me that. In the Stephen Foster neighborhood in 1945, after World War II, people bought a number of small houses that had been officers' housing at Camp Blanding during the war. And they brought them on trucks and set them up in the Pine Haven subdivision. And there are actually 5 of them on my street. Some of them, including my own, do not look the same anymore. But I want to remind you that all over Gainesville, there are subdivisions and neighborhoods that are 80 years old, 100 years old, that have all these odd historical gems in them. And when you make policy about this city, keep your eyes open, look at them, try to remember them, and keep in mind that all of them will change. You could never tell my house was a Camp Blanding house now. It burnt down. So the only thing that's Camp Blanding is the frame in it. But all over this city, there's history. And keep your eyes open. Look for it. Treasure it. Don't worry about changing it, because that's life. But try to keep it in mind. Thank you.